I'm going to demo how to use VCarve to generate the files needed to drive the Shopbot to create your project. First thing we're going to do is start up our VCarve file. Go down to your Start menu, All Programs, scroll all the way down. There should be a VCarve Pro Shopbot Edition. Click on that. VCarve Pro Shopbot Edition. Click on that. Now we have our VCarve Pro file that is started. First we're going to start off by creating a new file. So we can go under File, New, create a new file. On the left hand side we have our details of our program, or details of our part. We're going to set our job size up. This is defaulted to 7 by 7. Yours may be different. What I want you to do is be able to put in here 7 inches by 7 inches. Next it has the material Z. This is showing the thickness. On the left hand side, the Z0 is going to be at the top surface, so we're going to want to have this top button clicked, not the bottom, the top. Then we need to set our thickness. In this case we're going to be using a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. We're going to put in 0.75. The exact thickness is going to be a little different than this, but I don't have the exact measurement, and using the 0.75 nominal will work for this. Don't worry about our datum position. We're going to use the lower left hand corner. It should be by default. Make sure that that's set up. Units, inches. If you're using inches, you can leave that there. In this case I will be using inches. So then I'm going to say OK. On our screen here we can see this is our 7 inch by 7 inch piece. Now what I'm going to do is pull in our geometry. Now we just went over how to write that out of CorelDRAW. It's a DXF file, so we're going to go up to File, Import Vectors, and now we're going to search for our file. So in this case I've saved it in my H drive. I have my demo graphics. Click Open. Pulls it in. You can see the graphics have come in a dashed line and they are purple. That means that they are selected. Don't click off of anything. Go over here to this Transform Objects on the left hand side. The leftmost icon says Move Selected Objects. They are selected. We'll move them all together and get them in the center of the screen. Click on that. It'll move our selection. Move over a point or any point or any edge. You'll get the crosshair. Click and drag it. We're going to put this right up into the center of the screen. Once it looks good, looks about right, I'm going to put that there. Now I also have the anchor, which is in the center, and I could actually set this up to be the exact center. Since it's the absolute movement, I can put the X and Y position of that center anchor. Since this is 7 by 7, the center is 3.5 by 3.5, so I can put that in there here, and it will center it exactly on the screen. Not that we need it centered, you only need it approximate. Close that up. Now what we can do is we can click off of there. It'll deselect everything, turns back into all black. Now what we're going to do is define our toolpaths. In this case we need 2 toolpaths. One is going to be a pocket and one is going to be a profile cut. And we're going to talk about the pocket first. The pocket is the pocketed area. I'm going to cut this material out right here and this inner part of my A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my bounding curves. So this here is going to be one bound. I'm going to cut to this curve also. Oh, but when I click on that, I need to select both of them. So I can click on one, hold the Shift key down, click on the next, and I also want to cut inside here. So I'm going to actually click that. Now I've got all my bounding curves selected. I'm going to go over to the right hand side, click on Toolpaths. Toolpaths, you can click on it, it'll hide it or bring it out, or just hover over it. Now in this case I'm going to go to the second icon over. That is going to be Pocket Toolpath. Click on that Pocket Toolpath. Now it brings up the Pocket Toolpath profile information. So in this case we're going to start our cut depth at 0. That means it's going to start at the surface and it's going to go down to a cut depth. What is our cut depth going to be? I only want to go down 1/8 of an inch, so I'm going to type in 0.125. In this case I have it in there, but I could just click 0.15, put that in there. Next thing I want to do is select the tool. Now the tools that we have a few different ones available. For this one I'd like you guys to use a 1/4 inch tool, a diameter tool. And in this case this says 1/8 inch. I want the 1/4 inch, so I can click on select and it'll bring up a tool database. Unfortunately this tool database on this computer is not there, so it's not listed. We are getting this changed, so you'll be able to just select the tool and you won't have to type the information in. But in this case, since my information is not there, I'm going to actually go in there and edit this, and I'm going to make this a 0.25 inch diameter. Cutting past depth is going to be 0.1. Step over is going to be 0.1, and actually I'm going to make this 0.15, and my spindle speeds, I'll leave all that as default. Like I said, in the future, hopefully you guys, when you guys go to do it, you won't need to do that step. Beyond that, use larger area clearance tool. Don't worry about using that. Clear pocket. How are we going to do it? Are we going to do an offset, or are we going to do a raster? So this is just how it removes the material. So you can see here, it kind of follows the contour with an offset. A raster just goes back and forth. So typically an offset is the more conventional one that we would tend to use. Cut direction, in this case, we're just cutting out of wood. It just is depends on which way you want the bit to be cutting into the material. The climb or conventional, you can leave it. Either one is going to work. I usually leave it for climb as our default. Beyond this, everything else we don't need to set. Ramp, plunge moves, don't worry about that. Vector selection order, don't worry about that. And then the only thing down here is we can actually name it. So in this way, it gives it a default name of a pocket one, but I'm just going to say, I'm just going to call it pocket. But you can put whatever name you want in there, whatever is meaningful to you. This one, it's going to be pretty simple, but sometimes you'll get many, many different pockets in there, and you want to know which toolpath is corresponding to what part. So once you got everything all set, now you can go through and click on Calculate. Calculate is going to calculate that toolpath up. Brings up some blue lines on the screen and some red lines. Just to let you know, the red lines here is the part moving where it's not cutting the part. It's going to move it over into place, and then the blue lines are actually cutting the material out. You can see how it follows along the contours here. Now in this case, what we want to do next is just to double check to make sure everything looks good. So what we're going to do is we're going to preview our toolpaths. So if you click over on the toolpaths, it'll bring up our preview toolpaths by default. And what we'll do is we'll just say preview all toolpaths. We'll just click on this, and it'll actually simulate the machine running and cutting all that material out. Now the nice thing is that we can actually see what's going to happen before we go and cut it and find out that it's incorrect. But in this case, now if you use the left mouse button, you can rotate this around and see the depth, and you can say, yep, that looks like exactly what I wanted. So that toolpath looks good. A lot of times you'll see it may not look right. You may have a setting incorrect. You can go back there and then edit your toolpaths. But in this case, it looks good, so I'm just going to click on my toolpaths, go over here, say close, brings it back to our default menu. So that toolpath is done, and actually if we go down here to our toolpath, it has our pocket. That is the toolpath that we just generated. We can highlight it. If you click on it, it'll actually show up on the screen. I don't want to see it on the screen, so I'm going to deselect it. Now I want to get rid of our 3D view. I want to go back to our line view. So up at the top here, the tab, click on the VCarve Pro. Now we'll bring this back up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the profile. So I want to cut this whole piece out of our material. So I'm going to click on that outer profile or outside circle. And that's the only thing I want. I'm going to actually cut on that line to cut it out. So I'm going to click on Toolpaths. I'm going to come over here and click on our profile toolpath. Grid profile toolpath. Now we've got a lot of the same settings, but some that are a little bit different. 2D profile toolpath is at the top. Cutting depth, it's going to start right at the top surface at 0, and it's going to cut depth is where we're going to go all the way through. In this case, I want to cut all the way through the material so that it will become free from our support material. So our depth is 0.75, but I actually need to go a little bit deeper than that to make sure I cut all the way through it. So I'm going to go 0.78, 30 thousandths deeper than the actual thickness of the material. I'm going to choose my tool. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch tool. I want to use the same tool for both of these. It just makes the process go a little bit faster. When you get into your projects, you can start learning how to change the tools. That's a little bit more advanced. I will be able to help you out. Kevin will be able to help you out if you want to do that too. In this case, the next selection that we need to make is, are we going to be cutting the outside or the inside, or are we going to be cutting on that line? Well, in this case, that outside diameter is the exact diameter that I want, so I want to cut on the outside of that. So I don't want to cut on the inside or on the I want to cut on the outside. Again, the direction, climb or conventional, we can use those. Now the only thing that's different here that you'll need to set up are these tabs. Now what happens is I'm going to cut all the way through this piece. Once it cuts that last little bit out, it's going to become loose in there, and it can rattle around and kind of jump around and hit the bit. could damage your part, could damage the bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple tabs in here just to make sure it doesn't jump around. Add tabs. Here's the default tabs. It's a 1/2 inch by 125. These are a little bit big. You can break these down a little bit. Actually 375 by a thickness of 0.1 usually is good enough. Sometimes you have to play with it a little bit. But those are the tab dimensions. Now once we put those in, we can click on Edit Tabs. Edit Tabs is going to come up and say, okay, let's add some tabs. You're going to click on the constant number up at the top. We'll add 3 tabs here. 2 is good, 3 is better, so we typically use 3. Next thing we'll have here is there's this first tab at machining start point. You can leave that clicked or not. It really doesn't matter. Click on Add Tabs, and you can see they actually show these tabs that come onto the screen. The nice thing is if you hover over it, you can move it around. You can move those tabs around. If you don't like the location that they're in, you can move them. In this case, it's a circle. It really doesn't matter where it is. But if you've got some straight sides, usually you don't want those tabs at a corner or some other piece of geometry that may be hard to sand off. So you put those tabs in there. Tabs look like they're in a good spot. So I'm going to say close. Now I'm going to back to my profile. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. I can give it a name. Again, you can name it whatever you want. In this case, I'll just call it the profile. Click on calculate. It'll give you a warning saying, hey, you're going to cut all the way through it. Yeah, okay, I want to cut all the way through this one. So, okay, shows the toolpath again. Now what I can do is I can preview these. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the preview. Say reset. It clears the screen. Then I'm going to preview all toolpaths. Now this is going to show the first one that we had. And then it's going to do the second one. And you can see it's going all the way around. And there we go. We got that all set. Now what's going to happen here is let's take a look at it. A couple things. You can see that you're going all the way through the material, which is good. You can see the 3 tabs in here also. So that all looks good. So everything is all set. Now we can say close. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're all done. So what we're going to do is save our toolpath out. So we're going to come over here and say save toolpath. Save toolpath is we want to save all visible file toolpaths to one file. So we'll click on that. We have no visible toolpaths shown, so actually we need to go down here to our toolpaths. And in this case they're kind of tied up, so I need to click on both of those. So now you can see both of those are on the screen. It shows toolpaths to be saved, pocket and profile. The post processor will use just the Shopbot, which is the top one. Once we have that all set, save toolpaths. Go in here. I'm just going to say this is my demo. And I will save that. I'm going to save that to a flash drive so that I can actually you can save it to your network drive or your flash drive. Flash drive is usually easier. A lot of times we're logged in down there and it saves time from having to log in and log out. So we'll save those out. Once we've done that, you're all set. You can say close. Now you're ready to go down to the Shopbot and actually cut the part out.